hidden colors in black people having knowledge of self. The next few news stories that I talk about kind of plays into that, because I think when our children go through things out here in the streets, when they go through things out here in society, it's extremely important that we have the information to give them, that we have knowledge about these things so we can kind of break it down for them, so they don't feel like they're out here alone, so they don't feel like less than when these racist incidents kind of rear their ugly head, right? So, first news story, family. First news story is out of California, right? So this is what took place. A California mother is upset today because she believes, her son's race played a large part in what took place. So what happened was, at his school, this is a 7-year-old black boy in California. He attends Tesoro Del Valle Elementary School. I'm not sure what city this is in. It didn't say it here in the article. But it's the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department came to the school. So I'm sure I'm sure the school is somewhere in LA County or at least close by, right? So what happened was, the little 7-year-old black boy was outside. They had a fire alarm. He's speaking to a white kid who his mom says was actually bullying him. But he's speaking to a white kid, and the white kid, for whatever reason, tells the teacher that the 7-year-old boy has a gun in his backpack, right? Now, I would think in a scenario like this, because guns are brought to school and, these type of incidents have happened before, I would say you would just go to the boy's backpack, look at his backpack, see what's going on, right? So the teachers, principals, the administrators at this school went to the boy's backpack, looked in the backpack, seen there wasn't a gun, and they still called the police. You heard me. They seen the 7-year-old boy did not have a gun in his backpack, and they still called the police. They still called the police on this 7-year-old child. Now, and to make matters worse, one police officer didn't show up. 6 fucking police officers showed up, and they were interrogating this 7-year-old boy, asking him questions, and to make matters even worse than that, they didn't even contact his mom. So his mom didn't know about it until after the fact. You feel me? So a kid can lie on him and say, hey, he has a gun in his backpack. They check the backpack, make sure there's no gun, there's no weapons, there's no anything, but you still call the police on him. You see what I'm saying? So again, man, whenever and this is a primarily white school. Let me put that part into context. And that's the thing, man. We try not to. I know me personally, I try not to put everything in a racial context, just to be fair to whatever situation that I'm looking at. But it's extremely hard to do, family, when you have situations like this, because it's everything in me is saying, if this was a white kid, there's no way you would have called the cops on a white kid. There's no way you would have made it feel like it was this much of a problem, right? And again, like I said, this is a primarily white school, so we have to factor that in. So they called the police. They came 6 deep, detained the little boy for a small amount of time. Of course, he didn't go to jail, or they didn't bring him to the police station, none of that shit, but it's traumatizing nonetheless, right? Also, the mother, something she mentioned that I think was important to the story, is the little boy is a special needs. You can't see my hands, but quote unquote, a special needs child requiring a individualized education plan. And here's the thing about this, because Dr. Umar Johnson, who I'm a strong advocate and fan of, speaks a lot about mental health, and speaks a lot about how our young boys are railroaded into special ed and learning disabilities and all these things, just because a lot of the tools in which they use to assess these situations are kind of racist. A lot of the tools they use are kind of based out of a European type of philosophy, and it doesn't really lend itself to evaluating black kids correctly, right? So when she says he's a special needs kid requiring individualized education plans, that's like a red flag for me as well, because who said he's a special needs kid? And again, I don't know this young lady. I don't know where the diagnosis came from or how she came to that conclusion. But if you're at a primarily white school and they're saying your kid is special needs, and then they're acting like this towards him when a situation happens, it may be time to find a new school, or do like the sister is doing, and she alerted the news. She's making a big deal out of it because the situation is a big deal. You feel me? So to that sister, I appreciate you making this public, because she went on Facebook and talked about it, and you know what I'm saying, made it use social media for what it should be used for, to spread messages, to spread dialogue, to add new perspectives to the universe. And she definitely going to bat for her son. So we pray for the sister. Hopefully she can get through the situation, man. But we got to understand, when we are in environments where it's all white or primarily white, again, talking about the history piece, you got to begin, even at 7, you got to begin teaching your son about white supremacy, fam. I know some of us aren't comfortable with that. I know some of us aren't comfortable with racism, and we don't see it as this ambiguous thing that's always around us until some shit happens to us. Then we want to cry foul. I prefer not to see it that way. I prefer to stay on point with all this shit and educate all of my children as much as I've been able to about what's going on out here, about where our place is in this country. So when racialized incidents pop off, they don't feel less than. They don't take it to their mental too much. You feel me? So 7-year-old boy getting harassed by 6 cops ain't cool. I hope she does something to that school to bring attention to this, so some shit like this won't happen again in the future to her son or none of our black babies. You feel me? Now,